The U.S. House of Representatives have voted to block President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada.
The resolution passed by a narrow 219 to 211 vote, with 6 Republicans breaking ranks to join Democrats in opposing the president's trade policy.
Today, to rebuke President Trump's tariffs on Canada, 6 Republicans joined Democrats, passing a resolution to repeal those tariffs. It seeks to end the national emergency that the president declared to impose those tariffs.
Well, the U.S. House of Representatives has voted to slap back at U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada.
Today, we're talking about a major political moment in Washington that's stirring up conversation across the United States and even internationally. It's about President Donald Trump, his controversial tariffs on Canada, and the dramatic response from members of his own Republican Party. This week, the U.S. House of Representatives took an unusual step. On February 11, 2026, lawmakers voted on a measure to reject the tariffs that President Trump imposed on Canadian goods. This vote did more than just make headlines. It highlighted a growing tension between Trump and members of his own party, and it put the president on the offensive in a way we haven't seen before. To start at the beginning, these tariffs haven't just popped up out of nowhere. In March of 2025, President Trump used powers from a national emergency declaration to begin slapping hefty duties on goods imported from Canada. These tariffs weren't small. They reached levels like 25% on general Canadian products and affected all kinds of industries. The stated purpose was to address the U.S. trade deficit and to pressure Canada on issues like border security, especially regarding illegal drug trafficking. Supporters of the tariffs argued they were necessary to defend American workers and national interests. Trump claimed tariffs were giving the U.S. great economic and national security, pushing back against what he described as unfair trade practices. But critics, including economists, lawmakers, and even some business leaders, warned those tariffs were doing real harm, raising prices for consumers, disrupting supply chains, and triggering retaliation from Canada in the form of tariffs on U.S. exports. For more than a year, that debate has simmered, but this week it boiled over. On Wednesday night, the House of Representatives, including a Republican majority, voted 219 to 211 to pass a resolution that rejects the tariffs and challenges the national emergency Trump used to justify them. This wasn't just Democrats voting against Trump. It included 6 Republicans who broke ranks with their party to side with Democrats on this issue. And it's also part of why some Republicans, even those who are generally aligned with Trump's Republican Party, felt they needed to break with him on this issue. There's another layer to this story, too. The tariffs were justified by the administration under a national emergency declaration, a move that some critics say stretches presidential power beyond what the Constitution allows. Congress traditionally has authority over trade policy, but emergency powers have been used in recent years to allow presidents to act without Congress in certain situations. Critics argue that allowing national emergencies to justify sweeping economic policies like tariffs could weaken the system of checks and balances that is essential to American democracy. So you have not just an economic debate, but a constitutional one about where the balance of power should lie between the legislative branch and the executive branch. Many Republicans who opposed the tariffs have cited this constitutional argument as part of their reasoning. The other side, of course, argues that the president needs flexibility to respond quickly to international challenges, including trade abuses or national security issues. They say that unpredictable global markets and strategic negotiations sometimes demand decisive action. Trump and his supporters claim this approach protects American interests on the world stage. But when that decisive action leads to internal political conflicts, with members of your own party openly rebelling and voting to roll it back, it says something big about the state of American politics right now. And when a president responds with political threats against members of his own party, it raises questions about the way power and influence are being used in Washington. This vote happened at a moment when the political stakes are high. The next election cycle is only a short time away, and Republicans will be choosing candidates in primaries just months before the general election. Trump's threat of consequences, including primary challenges, is aimed at strengthening his influence over the Republican Party. But those threats also risk deepening divisions within the party and weakening its ability to present a united front to voters. Meanwhile, Democrats have seized on the moment as an opportunity to show that they are willing to challenge Trump's policies, even in areas traditionally dominated by Republican leadership. For them, this isn't just about tariffs, it's about defending congressional authority and standing up to what they see as executive overreach. Internationally, this whole conflict has also strained relations with Canada. Canadian leaders have pushed back against tariffs, arguing that they harm workers and businesses on both sides of the border. Canada has even imposed its own retaliatory tariffs in response to US actions, meaning this dispute goes beyond politics and into real economic consequences for two of the closest trading partners in the world. And the public reaction has been mixed. Some Americans support Trump's tough trade policies, viewing them as a necessary stand against unfair practices. Others worry about rising prices and economic instability. Many business owners and workers in industries tied to international trade have voiced concern about the long-term impact of tariffs on jobs and growth. All of this brings us back to the vote in the House and the president's response. Whether those Republicans face serious political consequences remains to be seen. Some of them are in safe seats, while others could face tough challenges in primaries next year. Trump's influence in Republican politics is still strong, especially among voters who remain loyal to him, so his endorsement or opposition could be a deciding factor in competitive races. In the end, this moment is about more than just tariffs on Canadian goods. It's about who gets to make big economic decisions in America, how power is shared between branches of government, and how political loyalty is shaping the future of a major political party. We'll keep watching how this story unfolds, including how the Senate acts, whether Trump follows through on his threats, and what it means for the economy and American democracy. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like, comment, and share your thoughts on where you think this will all go next.